as Burnley take on Sunderland at Turf Moor. Burnley, who have a terrific calendar year, winning the championship title, going 23 games unbeaten. And this is how they're lining up, with Tom Eaton in goal. They make two changes, in fact, one of which is at right back, where Matt Lawton served his one-match ban and fits in alongside me, Keane and Ward at the heart of that Burnley defence. A change in midfield, no Jeff Henrique picked up his fifth booking on Boxing Day, so he's suspended, and in his place comes Stephen Defoe. Otherwise it's the same midfield, and it's Graham Barnes up front. Sam Vokes is amongst the substitutes. The substitutes, just to give you the full lineup, are Robinson, Vokes, Bamford, Gudmundsson, Tarkowski, Dawika and Aidan O'Neill, the young Australian. Well, let's have a look at Sunderland. They have Manoni in goal. They've got an horrendous injury list, Sunderland at the moment. They've got with Billy Jones, Kone, Dudabodje and Van Harnold, the Dutch international, in the back four. Two holding three in the midfield, with John O'Shea, the centre-back, alongside Larson and Januzaj. Might just bomb down the flanks. Anichebe, Defoe and Marini, the three men up front. So it looks as if David Moyes is going to go all bold here and go 4-3-3. Mika, Modwell, Kazari, Ding, Endong, Pina, Mangua and Love, the young lad, are all on the substitutes bench. This is a big game for David Moyes. He got absolutely hammered at Old Trafford a couple of days ago. But this is a totally different kettle of fish here at Turf Moor this afternoon, on the final day of 2016. Been a miserable year in comparison for Sunderland. Only just stayed up by the skin of their teeth last season, and have had an horrendous start to this, really. They had a run where they picked up 3 victories out of 4 games, but apart from that they really haven't much else. But you can't really blame David Moyes for all what's gone on there. You can draw parallels to the likes of Newcastle and Aston Villa before them, who flirted with that drop zone for so many years, and before both teams went down last year. Is it going to be Sunderland's turn this year? And the speculation about Jermaine Defoe, could he be on his way to West Ham in January? Well, we'll just have to wait and see how that one pans out. Of course, Sunderland will use a few of the African-based players to the African Cup of Nations, which takes place later next month. Referee today, Graham Scott from Oxfordshire, gets us underway. Sunderland in the all-white strip with blue short socks. They're going to attack the Jimmy McIlroy stand to our right. Burnley need to tell you, are in claret and blue, even though we are doing a radio commentary of this game. Matt Lawton in for me. Start this afternoon with a early throw here, flicked on by Barnes on the right-hand side. Then it's hooked away. So Sunderland trying, but they're not matching up their 4-4-2. They're going 4-3-3. Which is a brave decision from Moyes, I have to say. But he's a manager of immense experience. He's lost 5 games in his career against Burnley. He's had some humiliating defeats here with Preston. I remember him losing a couple of games in his Preston days here. They lost 3-0 on a Friday night to Burnley, and then they lost that game 2, and then they lost a year later. His then Preston team 2-1, again famous for 2 goals from David Johnson on that particular Sunday evening, and then it was also famous for a streaker which Bertie B, Burnley's mascot, rugby tackled. He's also lost here at Everton, of course, in 2009 amongst others. So he hasn't got a particularly brilliant record, certainly here at Turf Moor. Although in home matches against them he's tended to do much better than he has here at Turf Moor. Free kick to Sunderland, just outside the area. Manoni takes it right-footed, 3/4 of the way up the field. And early chance here now for Defoe inside the area. Nichebe's there too. Keane got it away, and then Januzaj trying the first-time shot with his right foot, but he's blown it over the crossbar, just dead central to the goal inside the D. Januzaj worked it initially to Anichebe, and then it came back to Januzaj. He got too much underneath, and I think he was trying to curl the ball to the back of the net. Well, it's not a day for the faint-hearted as far as the weather's concerned. It's typical Burnley weather here today. Another near sellout. It was sold out for the Middlesbrough game couple of days back. Tom Heaton takes the goal kick for Burnley. And a crucial goal for Andre Gray, really, considering that he'd gone 10 without a goal before Boxing Day, and he came up with one just when he needed it, although he needed a little bit of assistance from Middlesbrough goalkeeper Victor Valdez, as Arfield tries to header that ball on, but Gray got in the way. Gray couldn't get on the end of it. Now Ben Mee has it. He's been well, he was certainly Burnley's player of the year last season. He really was. Gray looking, no foul there on Andre Gray. Ball back to Minoni. Burnley, for the record, attacking the cricket field stand to my right. Just look at that little incident now. Maybe there's a case there for a free kick to Burnley. Andre Gray certainly looked as if he was being tugged there. We're just coming to the 3rd minute of the game. 0-0. And a bitterly cold afternoon. Although it's not as windy as it was at Turf Moor on Boxing Day. Oh, it's a good atmosphere amongst the fans here. You're missing nothing, by the way. Just remember, it's a delayed stream, folks, so we'll take no comments during the stream, but you can comment because the game will be uploaded to my YouTube channel for you guys to enjoy the commentary at your leisure, whenever you want, for as long as you want. So you can comment in the section below how you feel that the game would have gone from your point of view once it's all uploaded. Offside given. There is the referee, Graham Scott, and I think he rehearsed refereed a Burnley match 2 years ago when Burnley played Aston Villa, 2014. Burnley a penalty late on, which Danny Ings put away, and Burnley could have nicked it right at the end there through Ings himself. Here's Ashley Barnes on the far side. And by the way, Danny Ings, who's recovering from an injury now, of course he's moved on to Liverpool, but he's sadly out for the season. It's a real shame to hear about that. There's a long ball forward towards Defoe, but Ben Mee was cutting it out. Yanazai keeps it going. A chance here for Billy Jones to get down that far side, but that's a good tackle in there by Stephen Ward, who's been a real unsung hero, I have to say, in Burnley colours. He works so hard and so well for the cause. Here's Marnie now inside his own half, midway inside his own half, picking it up, and then a long ball towards Andre Gray, but he couldn't get the guy out there. We picked out, and Sunderland were able to get that ball away, and now it's back to Tom Heaton. He's had a good season, Tom Heaton. He's had a good calendar year. Several Corps Deagers squad, lifting the championship trophy and appearing into as Andre Gray tries the shot, left-footed to just the edge of the penalty area, just scoots it over the crossbar and into the Sunderland fans behind Vito Manoni's goal there. I'm just looking at a replay. Good cutting field there by Stephen Ward from the left-hand side, and then just I think Gray just got underneath it there with his left foot, just to the left of the penalty area, just to the left and centre of the D. As he struck it, it went into the Sunderland fans, who have made a pretty decent journey here from the north east to the northwest. Sure, if they've got across Carlisle and then down the M6, or they've gone down the A1 and down the M62 or not. Whichever way they've come in their numbers. Like their northeast counterparts, Newcastle, they always have a good travelling support. As Van Arnold, the left back, bundles forward. Now opportunity arises for Billy Jones on this right hand side. Plays it back into field now towards Defoe this time, inside the area. Stephen Defoe in the way. And again, second time around. Still Sunderland have it with Larson into the penalty area. And it should be now trying to turn it ball back, and there's a little deflection on it. Still might come for Barini on the far side, but it's turning in the arms of Tom Heaton. First real threat we've seen from Sunderland. We've had 7 minutes gone, but yet no change in the score. But there is an HB. He's been in good form recently. Michael King got a little half a block on it, but wasn't going to be too costly in the end for Burnley, as Boyd tries to bundle down the right, but the ball beats him out of play, and it'll be a Sunderland throw level with their own penalty area. 7.5 minutes now gone. There's a little bit of a gust blowing there. I've just seen on the monitor, but it's not too much. It's not as windy as it was for the Middlesbrough match 5 or 6 days ago. Here's Tom Heaton. Burnley's next 2 games involve Sunderland. That's away in the FA Cup a week today. And of course Manchester City, and now Ashley Barnes has been penalised. It looked as if it was a 3 kick to Burnley, but I don't know what he's giving it for here. Well, that looked a 3 kick to Burnley. I have to be honest, Barnes has absolutely been clattered there. He's giving it the other way. Well, referee Graham Scott making 1 or 2 rash and wrong decisions here. Sunderland have a free kick 10 yards inside their own half, just shy of the halfway line. It's a long ball up towards an HB, just to the left of the penalty area. Boyd does well, but in turn concedes a throw, which will be taken by Van Arnold. Almost over with the Burnley penalty box. It's backing field, it goes to John O'Shea, chips the ball in. The former Manchester United man, now 35 years old, not a spring chicken as he used to be, John O'Shea. And here's Ward now, bundling down. As I say, this guy, him and George Boyd actually down that left hand side, they're not the paciest of men, but what they do, what they lack in pace, they make up for it in skill and runability. And that's offside. Sean Dash just asking for calm. He's done a terrific job. They're 5 points better off than they were at this stage as they were 2 years ago. And funnily enough, they've not been in the bottom 3 for the last 4 months. The only time they were in the bottom 3, that was on opening day when they lost to Swansea City. They've not been rock bottom whatsoever at this moment in time, which is a testament to how well Sean Dash has done. They've won 6 games at home this season. They've beaten Liverpool, they've beaten Watford, they've beaten Everton, they've beaten Crystal Palace, they've beaten Bournemouth, and of course they've beaten Middlesbrough just 4-5 days ago. Could have had more points against Hull when they drew 1-1, having led in that game. Should have had a point against Arsenal, but for an unbelievably poor refereeing decision to allow a Koscielny handball to goal to stand. Battle well before succumbing to Sergio Aguero. It's been on the road really as Barnes wins a throw just over the halfway line. Delaborgi is the man who came off. But it's been on the troubles where the problems have lie for the Clarets. Only 1 point on the road all season. That was at Old Trafford, of course, when Tom Heaton's heroics secured that point. They've only scored 2 goals. One a penalty from Sam Vokes and the other from Ashley Barnes at Tottenham. And maybe they should have had, in those last 2 away games at West Ham and Tottenham, maybe they should have had a point in both games, but it wasn't to be. And here's Stephen Defoe now for Burnley, deep inside his own half, skips away from Larson as if he didn't exist. We're into the 12th minute of the contest, and it's not been a bad start to the game. Here's Januzaj tracking back there for Sunderland. Ward putting him under a great deal of pressure, and in the end it turns out to be a misplaced pass. It's come to our field, the ball knocked back in there towards Boyd, and Van Arnold with the gloves on, winning the ball, and then Marnie shoved to the floor there by Larson. Really silly thing to do against Di Marnie. That was a 3 kick all the way here. He knew it was from behind, and the Swede didn't heed his own warning. Free kick taken quickly now. 25 yards out as Lawson crosses in from the right hand side towards Ashley Barnes. I think it might have come off a defender and then come off Ashley Barnes' shoulder at the back post, and it's gone into the cricket field stand for a goal kick. Sunderland really didn't switch on from the quick free kick. Lawton crossing in from the right hand flank, and in the end could have been profitable for Burnley. In fact, it was Billy Jones it came off. And then on to Ashley Barnes. Well, Turf more buzzing with excitement for this game. It's the real feel-good factor about this, considering that they had that terrific victory over Middlesbrough 5 days ago, and well, it's been a marvellous start to the first half of the season. If they win today, and considering where Sunderland are starting, they're third bottom of course with 14 points. A Burnley win would take them to 23 and 9 points above the drop zone, which at this stage of the season will be so crucial, and it would take the pressure remarkably off that game at the Etihad on Monday. 3 o'clock start, and then it's FA Cup next week. Wouldn't be too much of a chore if Burnley went out of that competition. Not that I wouldn't run against them actually going further in it, but it's all about staying in the Premier League, and what riches, untold riches, could, if they could stay up in the division, Burnley would lie ahead. An extra £100 million into the coffers would set the club up for not just a few years but for life. Here's Stephen Defoe. Oh, what a nice ball to pick up Matt Lawton, who'll keep that in on the near side. Van Arnold with a challenge. It is a Burnley throw, level with the Sunderland penalty area on the right hand side. Side nearest to us. And it's going to be Matt Lawton back into the team after John Flanagan deputised for the Middlesbrough game on Boxing Day. Lawton gets it back from Boyd into the penalty area. First time cross with his right foot, but it's headed away by Sunderland. But only half the way here as far as Ward. Now Arfield inside. Opportunity here for Burnley. Get the shot coming in from Andre Gray, right footed, and it moves way over the top of the crossbar, and it's a goal kick to Sunderland. Just seeing that replay again. Just got underneath it a little bit there, Andre Gray. Didn't really catch that well enough, I felt, at the time. Just to remind you, this is a delayed commentary, so it's not live. So when it's live, I do take comments, but when I'm not live, I don't tend to read comments because it's a delayed stream. But if we're live, we do involve audience participation. But if you would like to comment once the actual commentary is uploaded later on, and you tell me your thoughts about the game, then that is still very much welcome. We always like to hear your feedback. Remember, this is the final game of 2016. Now, Ashley Barnes has been penalised, now presumably for handball, because he anticipated a free kick being given. I have to say, it looked a free kick to Burnley, but referee Graham Scott wasn't thinking that way, and Sunderland now have possession inside Burnley's half, midway inside with Januzaj. Chips it in towards the edge of the penalty area, but it's headed out by Lawton, and now Boyd gets it away, but now as far as Lawton. Now Van Arnold tries to burst down the right, but he can't keep it in, and it's a throw for Burnley. So Lawson hasn't scored for 2 years in the Premier League, something in the region of about 37-38 games since he last scored. Former Arsenal youngster, then had a good long spell at Birmingham. As Gray gets in behind the defender, it's Andre Gray. The angle's tight, and Gray shoots it to the side netting from a very acute angle. But that was better from Burnley, and Andre Gray really getting a taste of it again. Having scored against Middlesbrough the other day, burst away from the Sunderland defence, but full credit here to the Sunderland number 23 Coney for getting back, and he's hurt himself actually because he collided with the advertising holdings down by the byline there. Burnley, the Clarets fans not happy about that. Bertie B there looking a little bit concerned, looking on I'm not sure what sure you can tell if it's an anxious look because his face doesn't move, of course. Connie's back on his feet, that's the good news, and now he's due to, that's the shot coming in, now he's due to meet up with the Senegalese team for the African Cup of Nations early next month. Sunderland without a lot of individuals for that game. He's up and about. Whether or not he'll be fit enough to continue, well, that's a different story. But Burnley, if you had to go on what I've seen so far in the first 18 minutes, I think Burnley have had the better of things, and that Sunderland defence does not want him. I think they don't want the stomach for the fight here. Burnley certainly, I think, just shaded it in midfield. Marnie has it to Boyd, who's just popped on the right. Lawton is there on the touchline as an overlap. Then it's in field to D Marnie. D Marnie trying the shot with his left foot, and in fact that curls out for a throw just by the corner flag to Sunderland, but he had to take it first time, and I think the ball was probably a little bit too in front of him to really strike it with any real conviction, and you can't really criticise him for taking the shot on, but it just curled away for a throw. Up towards the 20-minute mark now of the game. And here's D Marnie in the centre of the park. Here he is again. Marnie with his right foot tries to play a long ball in. Billy Jones doing some good defensive work there, but right back, and he hooks it out for a throw midway inside the Sunderland half. Joan Dyche's claret and blue army sings around this wonderful, wonderful stadium. Proper traditional football ground, Turf Moor, and when it's full and packed and atmospheric, my goodness, it makes a real volume. 20 minutes gone then at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Sunderland 0. Here's Ward on the far side. Back to Ben Mee. Mee hooks it forward. Now Ward wins the second ball. Unfield to Arfield. He can't control that well enough. And away comes Billy Jones now for Sunderland. Coney away. The best balls there from Coney and Enderfoe and Keane in a leg waste, which Keane just about wins and gets it back to Tom Heaton. Not seen much of Jermaine Defoe in the match thus far. Burnley concede another throw, by the way. And here's now Gray. Not missing anything there at the moment, but here's Ward on the far side. Defoe. D Marnie now to Stephen Defoe. Defoe has to pirouette and find Marnie just about 50-60 degrees. He had to pirouette and get it to Marnie. Now on to Scott Arfield. Tries to get it back from Andre Gray. Arfield now looking for options inside as the ball goes back in field from the right hand side, and then back out, just stretches to the right as D Marnie hits it. That was a better hit with his right foot. It was going on target, but he was charged down, but Boyd has got himself a bit of room to get to work across him, but it's too close to Victor Maioni. Big loss for Sunderland is their usual goalkeeper Jordan Pickford, who has picked up a really bad injury for 6 weeks, and speaking of injuries, I'm not sure if Coney can continue after that earlier challenge where he collided with the advertising boards. We're now virtually halfway through the first half. Burnley have certainly shaded it, I think, on the balance of play. Sunderland haven't really created any chances. Coney may not be able to continue, and Sunderland, who had massive injury problems before the start of this match, could be worse and even more as the blonde-haired player Endon comes to the far side to come away. Well, there's nothing coincidental. There was a little tangle with Gray, but it wasn't anything malicious. Far from it, in fact, and I do think it was a question of him colliding into those advertising holdings, and when you're colliding into them beasts, those holdings from at a great speed, it's very difficult to stop, and sometimes we've seen many a player get injured for that. So a real reshuffle, and he can't get the words out. It's that time of year, folks. So Coney sadly troops away from a Sunderland viewpoint. There was a little clap to the travelling support. I can't really estimate how long he might be out for. Any Sunderland fans listening in, so there we are. Disappointment for Coney, but an opportunity here for Endon to really prove his worth. With the blonde head, he's got a blonde mop of hair on top, shaven headed sides and back, shot back and sides, and just a big blonde mop, if I had to sort of describe him visually to you. That's wasted at least a minute or two. It is a goal kick, by the way, to Sunderland. We're just coming up towards 24.5 minutes gone here. Just looking at a camera angle where you can just make out St Matthew's Church far into the distance. And of course, Centenary Way, which is the good old Duke carriageway that goes through Burnley town centre. As Lawton gets the ball long. And that's out for a throw to Sunderland. About 5 yards from their own byline on the right hand end of the ground. That's where they're defending in the first half. They're attacking the goal to our left, and the goal towards the right in the second period. So we're well over halfway through the first half. 0-0 here at Turf Moor, but as I say, no way can Coney continue. And David Moyes has been forced to make his an enforced early substitution. Here's Andre Gray trying to turn. Now an opportunity here. Can Folks, Gray, sorry, Dean Rodney, I should say, keep that in. It's backed, it's a throw, yes. But the referee given something else then that he obviously didn't. Here's Stephen Defoe now just inside his own half. Gets it back to Michael Keane. Keane hooks a long ball forward, hoping to find Andre Gray, but it came away. It was defended well enough there by Sunderland. They haven't been very watertight in defence. Just to remind you that Sunderland have only won once on the road this season. That was against Bournemouth in that 2-1 win. Ashley Barnes again has been penalised, 10 yards inside the Sunderland half. And who's down this time? He's having a running battle with their number 5 there. Well, I think the number 5 for Sunderland, Delabonji, makes a little bit of a meal of that, and I think buys the 3 kick, and he's still down. Graham Scott, the referee, calling the physio on. Obviously the Burnley fans aren't happy. I think he's making a little bit of a meal of this. Maybe trying to buy his team some time. Ashley Barnes a little bit furious with the referee, who hasn't really done well at all today, I have to say, Graham Scott. I don't think the Oxfordshire official is on many Burnley's Happy New Year greetings list at the moment. Just having a look at it again. He's a very physical player, Ashley Barnes, we know that, but I don't think he's doing anything wrong. He's got eyes for the ball, and their defender, the number 5 there, for me, fakes the injury to get the free kick. It's disgraceful how that happens. And he's getting the birds from a lot of Burnley fans, getting a lot of stick, and maybe justifiably so, because having looked at the replays, I do think he makes a little bit of a meal of that, I have to say. But it is a Sunderland free kick, however right or wrong the decision was. O'Shea takes the free kick up towards Anichebe on the left hand side, back inside, still on the left hand side, Van Arnold, back to Larson. Larson looks for options, and here is before mentioned number 5 there, whose name I can remember but can't pronounce. Imani with a no-nonsense footing there. It's Van Arnold to take the Sunderland throw. Halfway inside Burnley half. We've had 28 minutes of play. Still Burnley 0, Sunderland 0. And here's Anichebe trying to turn away from his marker. So still 4-1, still 1-0, 0-0, sorry. Please do not comment during the live stream. You can comment after the live stream once it's uploaded to YouTube, folks. Please do not comment during the live stream. Just listen back to the commentary. And please do not give out any scores. Here's Stephen Defoe. On to Scott Arfield. Arfield now touches him back inside to Ward. Ward does well. I mean, Don was there. But it's a poor ball, and it's come straight into the path there of Vito Maione. And just to remind you, I am commentating live on the game, but the stream is being delayed for the simple reason that 3 o'clock kickoffs, I can't really do live commentary on 3 o'clock kickoffs. I don't really want to risk getting done for anything else. It's okay for midweek games and all that type of thing, but on Saturdays at 3 o'clock it's an absolute no-no, and that's why we do delayed commentaries on most games. Unless it's live on the television or midweek, we don't do all the 3 o'clocks live for that reason. That's why we do the delayed. Well, we've had almost half an hour gone. 0-0, but Burnley just shading it a fraction on the balance of play. There we are, 30 minutes up on the scoreboard, and it's Gray tries to turn. Was he tripped there? No. Well, it looked a foul there on Andre Gray as he tried to turn, but referee Scott was very well positioned to make his judgment, and he felt that the ball was run cleanly. Here's Larson on the halfway line, lifts it in there towards Jermaine Defoe. We've seen very little of, I have to say, as an attacking force. And here's a flick on by O'Shea, and he's put Andre Gray in the clear with his right foot through the goalkeeper and into the back of the net. 2 in as many games for Andre Gray. That's his 3rd goal of the season, and the Clarets take the lead after 30.5 minutes. Came off John O'Shea's shoulder, and Gray, who was offside initially, was played onside here because the ball clearly comes off John O'Shea, what a part of John O'Shea's anatomy, and once that happens, then Gray, although he looks offside for the first glance, he's automatically onside then, and from then on in, once he got one-on-one with Mannone, just to the right of goal, and shot with his right foot, with plenty of power. Mannone was going to have little or no chance of saving that one, and the Clarets take the lead. And looking at that closing inspection, it comes off his head and shoulder of John O'Shea, and that's how Gray becomes actively onside. And Sunderland can have no complaints about that whatsoever. Burnley deservedly in the lead, 32 minutes gone, and Andre Gray, with his 3rd of the season, he got 1 against Liverpool here, Scored on Boxing Day in that vital win against Middlesbrough, and now he's got another against Sunderland, and that really gives the Clarets the lift off, as we're now inside the last 15 minutes of the first half. Alright, so you'll go down as his mistake, but it still needed finishing from Andre Gray. It was a really cool finish, and into the back of the net it went. Now Ben Mead for Michael Keane. Burnley now playing with a little bit more of a real swagger about themselves and a little bit more freedom. There was a tenseness against Middlesbrough perhaps, even though they did have the best of the game and deserved to win. I think they've put on a much better display. They've looked very solid in defence, not giving Sunderland anything really, next to nothing in fact, and as a result they needed to take their chances down the other end, and they did just that simply. Ball headed back to Tom Heaton, who's had little to do. He's had the odd clearance to make in the game, but apart from that I can't even recall him making one single save. Come to think of it, I don't think he made too many chances to make an impression in the Middlesbrough game. He had a pretty quiet match in that too. What's the referee giving here? Graham Scott. It's a foul against Delabodji. It's about time as well. He got penalised. He's got away with 1 or 2 today, Delabodji. Right. Behind Ashley Barnes as he came to tackle. You can't do that under FIFA regulations. Referee quite rightly laying down the letter of the law. He hasn't been booked, however. But then we have a good opportunity here, about 35 yards out, maybe a bit farther than that. Stephen Defoe will try and float one in. He's gone short, in fact, to the right hand side, and Lawton will cross that in from the right hand side. Dangerous ball in, and it was hooked back across the face of the goal. Stephen Ward coming in at the far post, trying to hook it back across the face of the goal towards and across that 6-yard box, but there was just nobody, Claret and Blue, gambling there to get a positive touch. It was just too far in front of Barnes for him to slide in and make it 2-0 to the Clarets. But a lovely free kick routine though from the Clarets. And listen to one they almost pulled off against Middlesbrough when a free kick was chipped in and Ben Mee went round the back to head a Bergeron challenge back towards Ashley Barnes, but Valdez had cut that one out. And again a long ball up towards Andre Gray, and Barnes goes down again. This time Ndong was near the man that was challenging him, but he gets away with it. And the Burnley fans think that 1 or 2 decisions, and I certainly believe so, are going against the Clarets rather unfairly, I have to say. Attempts, Burnley have had 6, Sunderland have just had the 1, and on target Burnley 1, Sunderland 0. And that one shot on target is counted big time for the Clarets, who could win 9 points ahead of the drop zone with a win here today, and they're on the way to doing so here thanks to that 31st minute goal from Andre Gray. Scored against Liverpool and didn't score for 10 games, and then came back with a bang on Boxing Day. He's had his trials and tribulations this season so far. There's 4 games for some to a misdemeanor he committed 4 years ago, which we don't need to go over again. But he's come back and he's more positive than ever. He's had to wait for his chance when Sam Vokes was banging him in earlier on this season, but when he's come in, he's got his confidence back, and now he looks the player he was before all this blew up in his face. No, David Moyes. Well, it could be a 9th defeat this season. They've already lost 8 and drawn 2. If you take that win against Bournemouth out of the equation, it's not looking very good for Sunderland now. Here's Ashley Barnes getting it forward, and Andre Gray was onside, but the ball beats him out of play, and it will be a throw. In fact, a free kick has been given, and that's why we got ironic cheers in the background. Seb Lawson has been penalised for a foul there, I think, on Ashley Barnes once again. D. Marnie landing in here to the referees, to the conversation with the referee. Well, I don't think everybody in the ground that Barnes has had a fair whip of the decisions. I am entitled to agree with them. As a self-confessed claret, I do have that sympathy. None whatsoever for the referee, who's been shocking, but that doesn't matter. Burnley are in front, and that's all that matters. Ball in towards the penalty area from Tom Heaton, from basically 10 yards from his own, inside his own half as well. It was well dealt with there by Sunderland, but not far enough. Here's Arfield now inside the Sunderland ball, half back towards Keane, just inside the centre circle. Now it's out on the left hand side. Stephen Defoe looked for options and decided that Marnie infield was the better option, and then gets the ball back again, and then decides Tom Heaton's a much better option and manages to get the ball back rather safely. And a good kick there from Heaton, which could put O'Shea under pressure. Barnes was lurking, but Vito Manoni was very alert out of his goal and came to snap the ball up pretty swiftly. Well, we're coming up towards 40 minutes. We've played 38 of the 40 minutes so far. If only could go in ahead at half time. That's only half the job done. Of course, there's the second half to come, and anything can still happen in the second half of matches. It's great, plays it infield to Arfield, 25 yards to go, just to the centre, and just shoots wide of the right hand post from Arfield's viewpoint, and wide off the target for a goal kick. And maybe, having had all that room, he had about 5 yards of space either side, and maybe he could have done a lot better, maybe should have done a lot better there than what he did, but it just went trickling wide. The idea was good, but perhaps he could have let that go sooner, who knows. But it's a goal kick to Sunderland. They'll be pretty believed that goal went wide anyway. Chance to win the next ball, and then Defoe again. Defoe's taking his chance in this starting 11 pretty well, considering he's been out for a few games. There have been rumours that him and Sean Dyche have fallen out. Well, he's been unhappy with Sean Dyche leaving him out the last 2 or 3 games, but that's just paper talk, I think. So Burnley 1 up and coasting here at the moment, I have to say. But at the moment, 1-0, it's always a precarious lead. It's a throw though to Sunderland. We're now coming up towards 40 minutes gone. Fourth official, incidentally, is Mike Dean from Merseyside. Nice little shot there from David Moyes, furthest away from the camera, and Sean Dyche nearest the camera. Body language of the two managers. David Moyes looks a very forlorn character, I have to say, at the moment. And Dyche, you know what you get with Sean Dyche. He's always buzzing around, waving his arms around, barking the orders every so often. And that's a committed manager for you. Spends little or no time on the bench, he's just always there in that technical area, shouting instructions, egging the players to keep on performing, putting sweat on their shirt, as he would like to say. But here comes Sunderland now with Januzaj trying to work something. Barini inside the penalty area. Barini's shot, I think it was on target. I think he hit a Sunderland player, or it was well blocked by a Burnley man. And now Burnley on the break with Marnie rather on the near side. The ball in towards the penalty area, well plucked out of the air there by Manoni. We're inside the last 5 minutes of normal time here at Turf Moor, and these 40 minutes have shot by rather quickly. No foul there, and here's Stephen Defoe almost on halfway, still inside his own half, but safely plays it back to Michael Keane, midway inside the Burnley half, and then he goes back to Tom Heaton, gets it away, although Defoe was pretty much not right at breakneck speed. And then Barnes and has been penalised again for the well, that's been a running battle. Barnes and Dibiaggi, excuse the pronunciation, they've been at it from where one, and I think the Sunderland players had the better of the decisions. Let's have a look at that again. Well, we'll get a replay to sort that one out, but here's Dean Marnie now floated it towards the right hand side. Ward was working that, looked a dangerous tackle on Ward, and the referee decides, after a couple of seconds of consultation, to give the decision, and now surely he's got to book Billy Jones for that. Billy Jones in his pressing days won't have too many fond memories of this ground. He was sent off nearly 7 years ago now in that 2010 Burnley Preston game, where Preston were 3-1 up and coasting in that game, you may remember, and Billy Jones got sent off, and it helped for Burnley to get back into it with 3 goals in the last 6 minutes. A hat-trick from Chris Uleramo to win the game 4-3. It was also the game where Jay Rodriguez got the winner with virtually the last touch of the match. It's a dangerous challenge. Even despite Jones getting the ball, he takes out Stephen Ward quite clearly on the replay, and I think the referee will feel the same, although David Moyes, I suspect, will have very different feelings to those of the referee and Sean Dyche. I suspect more the referee than anything else. Still down on the ground here, Ward. A little concerning. Joe's getting the bird from the Claret supporters. Stephen Ward, he's back on his feet. He's off the pitch temporarily. And he's a tough cookie, Stephen Ward. Has been for so many years. Certainly in his days with Wolves, he's a blood and thunder player. Typical hard worker. You know what you're going to get with him. Here's the free kick from the far side towards Keane, who's been penalised for a bit of pushing and shoving. Free kick to Sunderland. I have to say, it's not been Graham Scott's finest hour, as the referee is given several decisions in Sunderland's favour. I think he's been a little bit sympathetic in his decision making more often than not to Sunderland than he has to Burnley. I thought referees were supposed to be fair, but he did get a decision right with Billy Jones. I'll give him credit for that. Here's Stephen Ward, who's A-OK, looking in only half away. I feel that jumped, but here's Defoe, trying to look for Barnes. On the far side again, and Dong, well, it looked as if it was a flaming elbow. In fact, the assistant spotted it and communicated with the walkie-talkie to referee Scott. Good spot by the assistant, if it is a good spot. It's a flailing arm, and I think that's a good spot by the assistant on the far side. And Dong can't get away with things like that inside the last 15 seconds of normal time at the end of the first half. And we'll find out from our fourth official, Mike Dean, how much longer there is to be added on. 9 fouls during this match. Well, no, not as many cards as there was in the game the other day between the Clarets and Middlesbrough. We had something in the region of about 11 yellow cards. 3 added minutes to be ended at the first half, and we've had 15 seconds of the first minute. Presumably for the earlier injury for Kone, the centre-back, who later had to go off. So we're to the first of these 3 added minutes. We've had 30 seconds of time added on as Marley touches that ball on. Ray helping it forward, but he's giving it away. That was a rip of applause and then a sharp intake of breath, but then when the Burnley fans realised that pass was going towards a Sunderland player. And Dong does well, and he finds Barini, the former Swansea man. Here he is now near side. Barini in towards Januzaj, the former Manchester United youngster who seems to have a promising career at Old Trafford, and Barnes is gone down. Barini as well. Oh, that's a harsh decision. Dean Marney involved. Oh, this is not good refereeing from Graham Scott, this. Dean Marney is perplexed. From first glance, from the naked eye, Barini has absolutely conned the referee for me. There was a fair challenge, and then Barini has conned the referee. There's no doubt about it. He's clearly made an absolute meal of it. I don't understand why players do that. To get fellow professionals in the book, it's scandalous, it's shameful, and it's really downright stupid. Referee has been taken for a ride there by Fabio Barini, and Dean Marney letting him know what he thinks of that decision, although he must not say too much more because he might run the risk of being sent off. It's a free kick to Sunderland, gained under very false pretences. And Seb Larson taking his time over this one. It's not being referee Scott's finest 47 and a bit minutes as Larson sends that free kick in towards the back post, and Ichibi was lurking, and here he is now, dispossessed by Boyd, although Ichibi's in pursuit, and Boyd got away, and Ichibi has gone down there, and Boyd has still got it over on the far side, and then he's bundled down. It's a throw to Burnley, but Ichibi could well be out of the game, and he's pulled his hamstring. He's trying to pursue Boyd, and oh yes, he's holding the back of his hamstring there. That's not a good sign, and we could be talking weeks out now for Ichibi, and this is not good news for David Moyes, losing several players to the African Cup of Nations, and now he's got a growing injury list, which is not helping his cause one iota here. He's still receiving treatment down there. It's always a sad sight when you see a player pull his hamstring. I remember Derek Redmond in the '92 Olympics when he looked as if he was going to go into the final of the 400 metres. And he pulled his hamstring in one of the most heartbreaking moments in Olympic Games history. And then Ichibi limps off the field. It could be a few weeks out job that. We've played a minute over the 4, or over the 3 I should say. Burnley nil, Sunderland nil. It's back with Manoni now. Right at the end of this first half. A goal from Andre Gray. Looks like giving Burnley a deserved lead at half time as Manoni kicks away, and there goes the half time interval whistle. Well, Graham Scott, it's not been his finest 45 minutes by any means. The referee's been absolutely diabolical throughout. Burnley lead through a 31st minute finish by Andre Gray after John O'Shea had flicked the ball back, played him onside after initially being looking as if he was off. And he finished with sub-a-pawn past Vito Manoni I should say. Sunderland have lost Kone and now Ichibi to injury. Balbans are piling up for David Moyes' men, but it's the Clarets who deservedly lead at half-time by a goal to nil. And we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and after that break we'll bring you the whole second half of Burnley versus Sunderland. Hello, welcome back to Turf Moor for the beginning of the second half. Delayed commentary, full match commentary of Burnley versus Sunderland. As Sean Dyche just walks out of the tunnel. Both teams are out on the field, just waiting for Sean Dyche to lead out. See Sam Dogs going up the tunnel. There was a half-time substitution, by the way, for Sunderland. Stephen Pienaar, the former Everton and Tottenham man, South African international, of course, about to come on. Signalled on there by fourth official there, Mike Dean. On for Victor Anichebe in this second half, so another reshuffle there with Sean Dyche. Runs around the perimeter of the pitch here at Turf Moor. And David Boy's already in his dugout seat as this second half gets underway. No further changes from the Clarets, by the way, at half time. So 2 important changes for Sunderland already as this second half kicks underway. Burnley, of course, in the claret and blue. Sunderland in all white strippers. Defoe tries to go through Burnley doors in this second half, but well policed there by Stephen Ward. Michael Keane rather, the ball played back in there towards Januzaj. Half-hearted appeals for handball waved away. Mia got a good foot in there. Well, Sunderland are having to rejig things again in the second half. They started off with 4-3-3. I'm sure they'll go to 4-4-2 or whatever now. They've lost Anichebe, one of their main men. So it looks as if they're going to go 4-4-2 here, with Defoe and Barini maybe up front here. And he's had to feed on very much scraps as that ball came in from the far side and he couldn't go ahead, his head on it. There's been murmurs of him going to West Ham maybe. Unfinished business there because he left 5 years ago, left something like 12 years ago when West Ham were relegated back in 2005. 2003 rather, left a bit under the cloud and obviously went elsewhere. Here's Andre Gray through the centre. It's Andre Gray now for Burnley. Good save. Barnes will finish. No, good tackle there, but the flag had already got up for offside, I think. Went up rather late, I have to say. And the assistant who called one spot on in the first half when he penalised Ndong. Let's have a look. Oh, that looks a tight decision, I have to say, on the replay. The camera on the 18-yard line. I would have said Gray was onside there. Not that it would have mattered, Manoni had made the save anyway, although Ashley Barnes was following up. Donabocci had put his body in the way of the rebound shot, which didn't really count. It's 3-2 to Burnley in the offsides column. And that last one there looked a really harsh decision against Burnley, who haven't had the most looking well from officials at the moment. As Barini now leads the charge for Sunderland. 1-0 down. So the ball on the far side now. Can Sunderland make something count here? Ball towards the far side, or from the far side, and Barini by the penalty spot tries to volley it goalwards, but he follows it wide of the left-hand post, and a goal kick to Burnley. And the linesman on the far side made a very good call in the first half, but I think he's made a bad call there in the second. And as the ball's played there, he's onside by about a yard. And then what also doesn't help the assistant's cause, he waits about 3, maybe 4 seconds before eventually putting the flag up, which to me is just brainless. That's brainless officiating. Really is brainless officiating. But hopefully that's not going to come back to haunt Sean Dyche out one iota. Burnley 1, Sunderland 0 is the score. Full delayed commentary. The final games of 2016. Of course, it's New Year's Day tomorrow. And with New Year comes new optimism for everybody. Even if they have had good 2016s or bad 2016s, always a New Year's optimistic. Not so for Van Harnold on the far side. He couldn't keep that ball in there from Januzaj. Sprayed it out well, but with too much venom on it, I suspect, and the ball had gone out for a throw. Well, if I was a betting man, I think Burnley have got enough wits about them maybe to see this job out. Only played 4 minutes in the second half, mind you, and anything can still happen. But with Sunderland the way they are at the moment, could be a tough old second half for them. They haven't really looked like getting the service through to Barini or Defoe, as Gray chases it on the far side. He's had a good match so far, Gray up against O'Shea, past him there, and Boyd is in a bit of space, but he couldn't pick him out there, just missed Boyd by a fraction, but it was a nice idea, cutting from the right hand side, had another little acute ball in, but Boyd just couldn't get there in time, and in the end, to no avail. O'Shea getting it back to Manoni. He started the game in the centre of midfield, now he's playing at centre back now, John O'Shea, because of the injury, of course, to Coney. Forward it goes, no foul there on Yanazai. Long ball forward by Ward. That might come here for Ashley Barnes under challenge there by O'Shea. Fair, said the referee, said it was a fair challenge. So Sunderland have got away with one or two decisions. That's a good ball through by Marnie into the path of Defoe. He's round the goalkeeper, and Andre Gray makes it 2. That's his second, and Burnley second. He goes bobbling in, rolling in nicely into the far right hand corner, and really Sunderland commit defensive suicide, but the Burnley fans will not care one jot, and I don't care one jot, because the Clarets 2-0 up, and deservedly so. Andre Gray with 3 goals in his last 2 games, and it was one punt up the field by Money. This time he was onside, away from the defender. Manoni, brainless goalkeeping, it has to be said, but when Gray with his left foot just rolls it into the far right hand corner, and there we go, 2-0 to the Clarets. And when you look at it objectively from the balance of play viewpoint, it's a lead that's been richly deserved. Couldn't just used his athleticism and his pace to great effect. And this is the Andre Gray we're seeing from last season, when he was tearing championship defenders to shreds. 26 goals I think he got in the championship last season. Could have been a little bit more than that perhaps, but well, him and Ashley Barnes haven't had time to work together as a pairing, haven't had too many games, but they're certainly hitting it off here, as Ndong now tries to keep that in on the far byline, but he can't. It's a goal kick to Burnley, and the problems mount for David Moyes. Bit of shirt tugging there. Full marks to the referee actually for playing a good advantage there, because the defender was holding Gray back initially, and Gray had the pace to get the ball past Manoni and then roll it in with his left foot into the empty net, into the right hand corner, to give Burnley a real clear daylight now over Sunderland. 2-0 they lead with 53 minutes now almost gone, as Defoe takes possession in the middle of the field, almost on the halfway line, goes forward, looks for support, and then runs straight into Seb Larson of all people. And then Yanazai slips and loses the ball, and here's Bars now, and Gray's onside again. Gray with his right foot, it finds it into the left corner, and it's getting better and better and better for Andre Gray and for Burnley. 3-0. And Gray completes a remarkable hat-trick. 2 goals in as many minutes for the Clarets as well. Oh, Burnley are ending 2016 with a bang. Andre is the cry. Stephen Pino, in fact, was the man who slipped, and then Defoe put a lovely ball in there towards Barnes. Lovely chest control and a lovely through ball, and there was no doubt about it. Gray was onside, and the Donnelly right foot did the rest into the far left-hand corner, into the near left-hand corner. But only again, no chance, and it's becoming a real rout for the Clarets. And this is probably going to be the easiest victory they'll have in the Premier League all season. Sunderland look a team devoid of any confidence or ideas. The Clarets, however, look a team full of confidence and plenty of ideas. 3-0 ahead, and Andre Gray will now keep the match ball almost for certain, unless Ashley Barnes himself goes and gets a hat-trick. And Gray could be on for another one. When the right-footed shot was well put this time, it will be a corner. Well, anything he could hit today could be more than the three he's got. Barnes again winning the flick. And Sunderland defence now at 6s and 7s. They were lucky to get out of that mess. It's another corner. It could have been 3 in as many minutes, and in fact we've waited nearly an hour, and it's 55 minutes before we've seen the first corner as the ball comes into the other near post from the far side towards Scott Arfield, and it's out for a goal kick. It did come off. Might have come off Ben Mee, in fact. It's a goal kick though to Sunderland, 3-0 down. And David Moyes, a rueful look on his face I can see there over on the far side, and it is a very rueful look on his face. Ten minutes into the second half. Sunderland, who have lost 2 players to injury and have chipped in 3 goals, are on the brink of another away day blue. And maybe they'll kiss Alfreda's aim back to 3 points here, because Burnley have been much the better team. Have been much better, certainly in the final third. Their front 2 players have had much better service than the Sunderland front men. And of course the reshuffle of formations hasn't helped Sunderland cause that too much really. And it just feels like deja vu when we're watching Burnley against Watford the other night. Look at the attempts, 11-3 in Burnley's favour. As Yanazai tries the shot, it's charged down, but 3 on target for Burnley, and they've all counted double really. Sunderland have not even come close. And Tom Heaton's barely had anything to do even in this second half, and we've had about 11 minutes of that gone, and 2 further Burnley goals have gone in, and I think the right team are winning now. Take the refereeing calls out of the equation and all that jazz, but if you like, but Burnley are the better team. They're winning on merit and work rate and the ability to stick the ball in the back of the net, which Sunderland are failing to do here. And with all this talk around Jermaine Defoe going back to West Ham maybe in January, is it affecting his performance today perhaps? Here's Ben Mee, midway inside his own half, and he does really well. Pirouettes away from a Sunderland man and finds Stephen Ward with the consummate of ease. And Burnley now finding it so easy to move the ball around, toy with Sunderland, draw one side of the pitch to the other, and here they are now on the break on the right hand side with Stephen Defoe. And Lawton into the path of Boyd, that's brilliantly done. Scott Arfield inside the area, right footed, this time straight down the throat of Vito Manoni. They're creating chances now. The Clarets, they're really rampant here. And for this self-confessed Claret commentating on this match, it's a real joy to watch. In fact, Andre Gray, a little stat for you folks listening in. Andre Gray is the first man in Burnley colours to score a Premier League hat-trick. I'll have to check the record books for the last time as Ward came in with a cross on the right, left, and he tries again, but this time Don can get it away. Just trying to, well, we'll have to check the record books to see who was the last Burnley player to score a top-flight hat-trick. I would wager it was somebody in the 60s, maybe somebody like Brian Pilkington or Jimmy McElroy, but we'll have to check the record books. I'm sure somebody will come up with a statistic not too long. Maybe Match of the Day later on tonight might be able to come up with the answer. You're missing nothing, by the way. Ball straight into goalkeeper Manoni's path. We're coming up towards an hour gone. Burnley 3, Sunderland 0. And here's Manoni now, right-footed, beaten 3 times. And now they're singing the name, the Clarets fans, of Stephen Defoe. Ashley Barnes has taken another knock there. But the referee hasn't given anything here, and this could be controversial if Sunderland were to score from this. As Billy Jones goes on the counter forward on the right hand side. As he back to Ndong, and Ndong with the ball towards towards Barini, I should say, and then it's comes away a bit of pinball machine. But Ashley Barnes, I think is he still on the ground? Burnley were urging Sunderland to, the Burnley fans were. Here's Banano in behind, ball towards Defoe, but the flag is up for offside. And the linesman called it right this time. Now they're chanting the name of Ashley Barnes. Coming up towards an hour gone. This is the incident again. Oh, that's a foul. Oi, Bargy. Absolutely ridiculous. Right from the back. How has referee Graham Scott not seen that? It's a foul every other day of the week, and Della Bargy can think he's lucky stars. He's Callum Chambers Mark II in a way. Got away with blue murder like Callum Chambers did in the Boxing Day clash between Burnley and Middlesbrough here 5 days ago. We've played over an hour. Burnley 3, Sunderland 0, and it's well merited. Here's Arfield now, centre of the field. Ward has it now, near side, crossing towards the penalty area, knocked away by O'Shea, but Arfield tries to get it back into the danger zone, but Lawson brings it away. Now Pienaar. Van Hornot now. And here's Jermaine Defoe, Januzaj up ahead, and Dong to his right. It's Defoe still going through the centre, takes on one, beats another. Plays it in there towards Barini. Barini turns, gets it onto his left foot, and that's a very good effort there by Fabio Barini, which just about clears the Claret's crossbar. It'll be a goal kick to Burnley. And it's taken Sunderland 60 minutes to actually make Tom Heaton worry about something, even though he wasn't required to save on that occasion, which will be a concerning factor for David Moyes right now. It's a goal kick. Sean Jass's Cotton Blue Army is being sung here around us all in the Longside stand, or the James Hargreaves stand, to give it its proper title, only known as the Longside. And of course there's a few supporters in the David Fitch weekend, which creates a bit of atmosphere as O'Shea tries to get, it's great, tries to get in behind O'Shea again, but O'Shea this time was very coy to that and headed it back, no trouble, to Manoni. We played 62 minutes gone, Burnley 3, Sunderland 0. And when you look at the balance of play, it's the right scoreline at this moment in time, as Tom Heaton will get the ball this time and take possession. And after the final whistle, we will end the stream. There'll be no pre-match things because we all want to go off and enjoy New Year. It's always a busy time of the new year, as Barnes almost flicked it on towards Gray once again from the long kick from Heaton. Now Banano from the throw out, just about skips away from two challenges there, the Dutchman, but plays an horrible ball towards Januzaj, and it goes straight out of play on the far side. What must he be thinking, David Moyes? Well, I'm sure he'll have them in at full time regardless, giving them the biggest rollicking they've probably ever had. Feel for him now, he doesn't have any transfer funds. The Sunderland board have made that perfectly clear. They don't have much funds to splash out with. They've spent quite enough in the last few windows to get themselves out of trouble. David Moyes will have to pull out some real gems on the transfer market on very little funds if they're going to get out of this predicament. They'll be still stuck on 14 points at the end of play, but Burnley now poised to go 9 points above the drop zone. They could go as, well, the results went their way today, they could go as far as 11th or maybe 10th, but I think 11th as things stand at the moment. But Burnley now looking absolutely assured, looking tremendous And poised now to go 9 points clear. They've got a free kick as well, which Tom Heaton comes towards almost the halfway line to take. High in towards that penalty area. Barnes was lurking. Marnie now touches it on to Ward. Marlon Ward. Ward does well. Just cuts back inside. And now Ward again takes possession. Into Arfield. Left hand side of the field. Back in field to Marnie. Marnie just touching it back there to then me, and then he in turn gets it back to goalkeeper Tom Heaton, who's had no real saves to make in the entire match so far. And Dung now trying to get Januzaj away, but he's dispossessed by Boyd. Stephen Defoe was playing the perfect ball in behind the Sunderland defence and almost getting Gray on his way. And then what would have been a possible fourth goal given away again to Gray. Gray midway inside the Sunderland half. Just showed too much of it there to the good short sleeve shirted Van Harnoot, and gets it back, no problem at all, to Manoni. The game just going down a little bit at the moment since the third goal, but still the work rate, the commitment that you'd expect with Burnley is there for everybody to see. We've played 20 minutes of the second half, and Burnley in a very comfortable and commanding position. And you would fancy now the points are wrapped up, signed, sealed, and delivered. Here's Barnes on the chase. He's onside. He's got O'Shea tracking him. Arfield inside the area, bundled over by Larson. He's inside the penalty area, and I think Graham Scott had no other decision to make than to give the penalty to Burnley. Certainly from Larson, but Arfield, credit to him there, but credit to Barnes just to the left of the area for laying him in the first place. And Burnley now have a chance to go 4-0 up. We see replays of Arfield absolutely being bundled to the ground. And Ashley Barnes has the opportunity. He's worked so hard today. Scored the winner against Crystal Palace, of course. Scored against Spurs. This for his third of the season. Barnes steps up with his right foot. Finds it into the right-hand corner. Manoni going the wrong way. And it's a 4-star Burnley performance. Burnley 4, Sunderland 0. Ashley Barnes amongst the scorers now to add to that glorious hat-trick from Andre Gray. And the Clarets are going to go 9 points now above the relegation trapdoor at the turn of the year. What a performance from Sean Dyche's team. This has been the most impressive score and performance really of the season. They've had some very impressive results against Liverpool and Everton, and getting that brilliant draw against Manchester United, but this, in terms of the way they've played and the way they've gone about their business, has to be their most impressive performance today. So Stephen Defoe makes way. He's worked really hard, appreciates the applause that the fans are giving him. They're singing his name as he comes off, and they're going to welcome Johan Berg Gudmundsson back into the frame. Been out with injury, but he's performed really well this year for Burnley. The Iceland international played in that game against England where they won 2-1 very famously. I was hoping that to that in the football review of the year yesterday. You can watch that on my YouTube channel as well, after you've heard this game, of course. It's well worth a watch and a listen. So 4-0 to Burnley. Ashley Barnes with the penalty on 67 minutes. And they've got another free kick here, the Clarets. John O'Shea, well, he started in midfield, he's played centre back, and he's had a nightmare. We're halfway through the second half now, and Sunderland now, if there was no way back before, there's certainly no way back from now. Burnley have a free kick just to the left of the left hand side, and Gudmundsson didn't really give that quick free kick any real impotence. He's got it back now from George Boyd, who managed to work a miracle to get it back to him. Comes to Dean Marnie now. Marnie, who's already been booked. That's a foul. A free kick, foul there on Adjan Januzaj by George Boyd. But George Boyd, how much work does he get through in a game? He's just, I mean, I think we're looking at some statistics earlier on, and I think you'll find he's probably covered the most ground, but not all just about the kilometres and stuff. It's all about how many goals you put in. And Burnley, the first time I think since they've been in the Premier League, their first season back in it, and I can't remember them. I think they've scored 4 previously in the Premier League. That was away at Hull. 4-1, I think, back in 2010. And here's Andre Gray on the far side. Gray's got Boyd in the middle, so too is Barnes. Gray on the right hand side wins a corner. And Burnley now in search of a 5th potentially here. They're 4-0 up. Could be on the verge of a 5th here if they keep their wits about them. Barnes and Gray have really had a terrific day. Only the second corner is incidentally in the whole game, and they've both gone to the Clarets. We come towards the 70th minute. There's Johan Berger-Munson with the corner towards the near post. That was Ashley Barnes trying to flick that goalwards, but he couldn't succeed. Now Marnie wins the next one, and it's George Boyd on the break. Oh, he just couldn't pick out Marnie. Januzaj was intercepting, and he's beaten 2 or 3 men down that left hand side. He's got Defoe in the middle. It's beaten me. It's Jermaine Defoe with his right foot, and he finds the left hand corner, and Sunderland have pulled one back, but I think it's come way too late. That's the only disappointment and the only blot on Burnley's copybook. Well, 71 minutes gone, or 70 and a half minutes gone. Sunderland have finally got themselves going. Januzaj with a lovely little run, beat not two, but 3 Burnley players. Laid a lovely ball in, that's just evaded Ben Mee's challenge. And Jermaine Defoe, usually in the 6-yard box, and usually steps them up for breakfast, dinner and tea. And Sunderland, well, they'll get a little consolation, but not too much joy out of it, I'm sure. Because there's no chance of them, unless they pull off a real miracle to get themselves a point out of this. They still need another 3. John O'Shea's come off, and Love, the substitute, has come on. And it's been a horrible day, but well, that'll put not much of a smile there when Defoe scored, and there wasn't much of a cheer for the Sunderland fans behind that goal as that ball trickled in, because they know the manner of the defeat is unacceptable from their point of view. But for Burnley, it's still a great performance despite the concession of a goal to Jermaine Defoe. But when he's in that last 6-yard box, he's a predator. He has done so often throughout his career. He's now looking to overtake Robbie Fowler as Januzaj tries the shot from 25 yards, and Tom Heaton required to make a save. After 72 minutes, he has been beaten once. He had no chance from Jermaine Defoe. And Januzaj there, just getting the ball there from Bannon, not striking it left-footed, but with no real venom or conviction or any swerve or dip or anything. There might have been a slight deflection there of Michael Keane, but didn't make the job any less difficult or any more difficult for Tom Heaton. 18 minutes to play, plus stoppage time. Burnley, despite Defoe pulling one back for Sunderland, cruising to victory. And with Andre Gray, it could even be more. They could have had 5 or 6 in truth, the Clarets. Marfield had taken 2 of the earlier chances. One ball up to Defoe, looked offside there, but again, good interception again. And here's Stephen Ward. And back to Ben Mee from Scott Arfield. Gets it long up towards Love, who gets his first touch here. This is Love, in fact. And, well, can Burnley make it a 5-star performance? They've certainly looked lively. And a marvellous performance, a 5-star performance, as I say. Ben Mee just knocking it back to Tom Heaton, who just belted away with his right foot up and over the halfway line. Barnes with a lovely bit of chest control, and here's Johan Berger-Munson taking on Love here, and there's a good ball in there, but cut out by Billy Jones, who's gone to centre back now that John O'Shea's got off. And again, this is not going to be a day he's going to look back on a trip to Turkey like the last one he had with Preston North End a few years ago when they lost 4-3 and he was sent off. He's not going to look back on this particular trip with any great fondness. Ashley Barnes will look on the day as a great fondness, a penalty for him. And 3 for Andre Gray. Burnley 4, Sunderland 1. Here's Johan Bergen-Munson with the corner from the near side. That's Burnley's third corner, but this time easy for Vito Manoni. Offered very little resistance from the penalty. Man's just passed the ball in with his right footed in the right corner, and there we are. As soon as that went in, it was practically, in fact it was more or less game over. It was at 3-0 to be fair, but at least one man doesn't give up for Sunderland. It's Jermaine Defoe, but how long will he be wanting to stay at Sunderland? With West Ham reportedly making maybe potential moves for him. Possession stats speak for themselves. Burnley have shedded it in that department. 51% possession the Clarets to 49% the Black Cats. So it just tells you overall that Burnley have wanted it a lot more on the day than Sunderland have. It's just a shame. It's from Sunderland's point of view, it's just had to wait until 71 minutes before actually deciding to turn up for this game. But the Clarets, and this Good-Fez Claret, is going to celebrate 2017 really cock a hoot, because this has been an unbelievably good display from Burnley. And we've had some thriller minutes here at Turf Moor already this season. The late drama, the 2-0 win over at Liverpool when we had just 20% possession. And the late show at Everton, the even later show against Crystal Palace. A very convincing win over Watford. A dramatic result against Bournemouth, another 5-goal thriller. And then that dramatic late winner from Andre Gray against Middlesbrough. Not to mention Tom Heaton's heroics at Manchester United. As the ball comes in towards Barnes inside the penalty area, across from the right hand side. And it's easy there for Vito Manoni. There wasn't great conviction on the header, but he won't matter too much. He won't worry about that too much. That fourth penalty goal has more or less put the cherry on top of the icing, on top of the very big yummy Victoria cake for the Clarets. That's the attempt statistics. 14 attempts for Burnley, 8 have gone to Sunderland on target. Well, there's no doubt Burnley have had 5, Sunderland have had 2, and Burnley have scored with 4 of the 5 on target. Love with the cross on the right hand side, and that's out. What a goal kick. And Andre Gray getting a standing ovation with 13 minutes to go, and everybody around Turf Moor, except I suspect from the Sunderland supporters, are giving him a huge ovation. Some folks ready to come on. So it looks as if some folks may well have the last 13 minutes. Barnes is still on the field. I think that's the Burnley's second change of the match. Johan Bergen-Munson already on the pitch. So a brilliant day for Gray. And because of him, Sunderland now can kiss Auf Wiedersehen Pet to any opportunity they may have had of at least maybe 1 point, let alone 3. Which won't please the Sunderland fans, no pun intended. And if any younger listeners are listening and saying, why is he saying Auf Wiedersehen Pet? Ask your dads. Basically, it was a famous TV series with 3 northeast bricklayers, and they used to go to work in Germany. Ask your dads about that. Back to the present day. Ben Mee and Adnan Januzaj having a little bit of a battle over on the far side. The ball's run dead. He's not had Him and his team have had a very bad day. No foul given. As the ball goes in there towards Sam Vokes. He's on the chase, far side. Gorenberg and Munson and Ashley Barnes waiting in the centre, but Vokes quite content to hold it up in the corner. Tries to play a cross in, it comes off a defender, and it will be a corner to Burnley as we're going towards the last 10 minutes of the match. And unsurprisingly, Burnley not throwing too many men forward. It's the fourth corner. Stephen Ward had to come forward from the back. Keane is now making his way forward. Burnley now looking for a fifth one. This is their fourth corner. Fourth chance now to see if they can get a goal from a corner. Gorenberg comes in to take it with the left foot. In swinger. Headed away. Michael Keane was the intended target. Barney requires a shoot. Scored a cracker against Manchester City earlier on. Long ball in there towards Keane from the right. And it's a corner. Came off the defender, came off Love last, and it's a corner to Burnley. And that's their fifth one without reply. Sunderland have had nothing in terms of the corner count. And this will be Burnley's fifth corner. Can they make it count maybe at the fifth time of asking? From a corner, that is. They've made it count 4 previous times from open play and a penalty. Not this time. The corner was headed away by Sunderland, and then Arfield in there to win the next one. Boyd ducking his head in. Pienaar felt he was challenged unfairly by George Boyd, and he gets another sympathetic decision there from Graham Scott. Thankfully his name is not going to be written all over the back pages of tomorrow's headlines. It's going to be that man of Andre Gray that's sitting on the bench. A super hat-trick, and the first ever Burnley player to get a Premier League hat-trick. And a few people have got 2 goals. Not even Danny Ings managed to get a hat-trick in the Premier League for Burnley. That's his 5th goal of the season, incidentally, to add to the 2 he almost got previously. One against Liverpool back in August, and the one just 5 days ago. That's 4 in 2 games in all for Gray, but 5th in the league this season. Now Sunderland could have done with somebody like Andre Gray, as Januzaj was well tackled, and then Arfield and Boyd double up on him. You're not going any further, they say to Januzaj. Januzaj gets the throw deep inside the last 10 minutes of the second half. Another foul there. So winning 1 or 2 decisions over on that far side. Last 8 minutes. Burnley a third most final match in 2016 left. And the next 2 competitive games are away from Turf Moor. Manchester City on Monday afternoon. Then a week today, Sunderland away from home this time in an FA Cup 3rd round game. Sunderland have a 3 kick here in the 83rd minute. Larson to take it far side. Goes in right footed. Went through a crowd of bodies inside the 6-yard area, and it came off a Burnley player. Last, it will be a corner. Januzaj will take it. They need to get on with it with some urgency. They need another 3 goals, remember. They're not going to do it like corners like that. They'll come for Larson. Larson knocking it back to Van Horn. Plenty of time to size up the options. Defoe is onside here, turns away. Defoe again, tries to get it out, and his shot was well crowded out. It will be a corner to Sunderland. 83.5 minutes gone, and it's been quickly taken as well. Back to Van Arnold on the far side. Tricky player, gets Wordswell, gets his shot in. Straight down the goalkeeper's throat of Tom Heaton. 8 84 minutes almost gone, and Burnley, even though Sunderland have pressurised them in sort of the last 5 or 6 minutes or so, are still going to probably end up being deserved victors anyway. As things stand, they could be heading up towards the 11th place and 9 points above that relegation zone. Meanwhile, there's a final change, and it's Ashley Barnes' turn to receive a hero's farewell to this game anyway. He worked really hard in tandem with Gray, was the workhorse and the foil for his strike partner, and even helped himself to a goal from the penalty spot, which he put away into that far right hand corner with Summer Pong. And James Tarkowski will get a good 5 minutes or so plus stoppage time to enjoy the occasion of the game. Here's Scott Arfield inside the penalty area from the nod back, and he just hits it just wide. Well, Scott Arfield could have easily had a hat-trick. Folks nodding it back into his path. He had to take it first time. It was a difficult chance, and he followed it. In fact, he scuffed the volley into the ground, and it's gone for a goal kick, which has been taken by Manoni towards Tarkowski, winning the header. 1 or 2 Sunderland appeals for handball, but not given. And Marini trying to play it on towards Love, but he can't succeed. 4.5 minutes to go. Sunderland, despite scoring inside the last 20 minutes for Jermaine Defoe, looked a well beaten outfit today. Van Arnold playing it forward and tries to get it back a second time. Boyd now intercepted, and Tarkowski now with his left foot can hook it away, but not very far unfortunately. Here's Jermaine Defoe, and back to Januzaj, but here comes Scott Arfield turning nicely back to Matt Lawton. Lawton getting it forward with his right foot, and chances there for Boyd to get in there, but it's hooked away. Look at the distance in kilometres that both teams have covered. Burnley the most with 101.7, Sunderland's 93, and Boyd has covered the most kilometres, 11.61 kilometres. Barnes and Arfield not far behind. Barini's covered the most for Sunderland, along with Larson and Billy Jones. Boyd far and away has covered the most ground, as is always the case. That lad never stops running. He's a runaholic. You could stick him in a London Marathon and he would probably run it inside 3 hours, as the shot comes in from about 35 yards out from Seb Larson. Right footed, never troubling the scorers. It's into the David Fish weekend behind Tom Eaton's goal, and 1 or 2 supporters deciding to leave a little bit early to avoid the traffic. And it does get gridlocked around here once the game's finished. I fancy the Sunderland fans, some of them will have left very early, especially when they went 4-0 down. So he kicks away right footed. And Andre Gray unsurprisingly gets the Defabet man of the match from Burnley's club sponsors. And I have to say, richly deserved. I know I'm sure Ashley Barnes and 1 or 2 others will push him very hard for that man of the match. And in fact, he'll be the JB man of the match as well. I'm going to give it to Andre Gray on a superb hat-trick and the way he worked hard. But I have to say, special mention to Stephen Ward for running hard, George Boyd running his socks off, helping the Burnley cause, and of course 1 or 2 others as well. And Ashley Barnes ran Andre Gray close man in the match as well, but on the basis that he didn't just score the hat-trick, but he worked hard as well, Andre Gray gets the JB man in the match. As we come to the walls, the last knock-ins on a day to forget for Sunderland. But wait, here's Jermaine Defoe running through. Bob was on his right, but he couldn't pick him out. And here's Gudmundsson at the other end. on the left hand side this time. Inside now the final minute of the normal time at the end of the game. Burnley, Burnley, Burnley is the cry. And once this stream is finished, once this game's finished, the stream's going to end, because it's going to be a busy new year as well. So once the whistle's gone and I've summed everything up, we will take time to wish you all a happy new year. 30 seconds of normal time to go, then it's down to the discretion of Mike Dean to add whatever is at the end of the second half, whatever stoppage time that is. Alfield trying to get that ball forward, and Munson in pursuit, and he beat Burnley to the ball, but then hooked into the crowd by the defender, Love. What was almost bonkers goalkeeping by Manoni, who's had a really shocking performance today, really he has. I don't know how long he's given there. I couldn't make out how much stoppage time there was. We've got 3 extra minutes, and we're 24 seconds into the first of the 3. And Burnley finish off with a 5th. Here's Gudmundsson with another corner. Headed Boyd, he'll get another go here, Gudmundsson. Now can he get the crossing with his left foot? It's a good one. Boyd almost controlled it really expertly then, but come to Adnan Januzaj. That's a poor ball really. Number of passes, Burnley 338, Sunderland that bit more with 382 at that sort of count. And the pass accuracy, well, Burnley have had 68% pass accuracy and 74 for Sunderland, but that matters very little in the grand scheme of things, because it's all about putting the ball in the back of the net, and Burnley have done that 4 times today. Sunderland have managed it once, but it came too late to affect proceedings here this afternoon. They're going to finish the calendar year in the bottom 3, along with Hull City and Swansea City, are having a dismal time of it, of course. I've just sacked their second manager of the season, and I believe are losing to Bournemouth as well. So this is not looking too good. We will give you the date, other scores before we leave you, because it's an early delay at the moment. We will have to give you all the 3 o'clockers, and we can't give you the full time for Liverpool Man City, because they, at the time of the commentary, they're still yet to kick off. We're now in the final minute of 3. So we'll give you a rundown on all the 3 o'clock results, and then leave you once the final whistle has gone here. If you all want to get off and celebrate bringing in 2017, don't we? Last 20 seconds now of the game. Long ball forward, and it's won quite easily there by Georgie Boyd. Done really well today, George Boyd. Been a real workhorse, has covered so many kilometres. As I say, he could run around the marathon 10 times and he can still run for toffee as the final whistle finally goes. And Sunderland's misery is ended by referee Graham Scott's whistle, but it's a glorious end to 2016 for Burnley. And Andre Gray, a super hat-trick, got one in the first half and then scored 2 brilliant goals in the second half. Ashley Barnes from a penalty conceded by Seb Larson after Barnes himself was bundled over. No doubt about that. He made it 4-0 with 65 minutes gone. Jermaine Defoe, 5 minutes later, pulled one back for Sunderland. It was no more than a little consolation for David Moyes' team, who, in contrast to Burnley's intensity and urgency today, Sunderland lacked either in those two departments alone. He's got a rueful smile on his face, David Moyes, but let's talk about Burnley now. They were ruthless, they were superb, they had everything you could wish for. They were fantastic, and Gray's hat-trick, the first from a Burnley player in their time in the Premier League. Sean Dyche walks off. It's a good clap from the Burnley supporters. The Sunderland fans are all perished now from their seats. Absolutely cock-a-hoop, and this Claret here who's commentating is cock-a-hoop. So Burnley are the victors today. Let's bring you up to date with all the full-time scores then. These are all the 3 o'clockers that finished. Chelsea have beaten Stoke 4-2. Leicester have beaten West Ham by 1-0. Manchester United 2, Middlesbrough 1. Southampton 1, West Brom 2. A bit of a turn up there at St Mary's. And Swansea season has got even worse against Bournemouth. Liverpool Man City's a 5:30 kickoff. But that's it from the Clarets match for 2016. I hope you've very much enjoyed the delayed commentary of this Burnley versus Sunderland game, which was won quite comprehensively by the Clarets by 4-1. An Andre Gray hat-trick and an Ashley Barnes penalty. Jermaine Defoe with the scant consolation for, with little or no consolation goal for Sunderland, who were poor throughout. And Burnley 4-1 victors, and deservedly so, and now go 11th place with 23 points. And that brings us to the end of this stream. But before I go, I'd like to wish everybody, the subscribers and the listeners and the viewers to my channel, a very, very happy new year, and I hope 2017 will be a good year for you all round. But for me, JB John Stuttard, it's time to end 2016 with the news that Burnley have beaten Sunderland by 4-1. Have a happy new year, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.